And we're live. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. And pretty interesting show tonight. So we have some more updates on the story that really came out over the weekend, and that, of course, is Nazir Mazraoui, Bayern Munich right back and left back, Moroccan international, and potentially the next signing of the Ineos era. Now, of course, this is down to a caveat. There is a caveat to discuss. Everybody, we know this for a fact. It's Wan Bissaka has to go to make way. Now, I asked you guys last week about Wan Bissaka, what was the thoughts, and I think that most people had a similar kind of opinion that although he definitely has his merits, there is an argument to be made about perhaps moving him on. You know, you look at the situation with contract, he's got a year left on his deal. If we're not going to extend, I guess this is the time that we move him on. And it's one of these ones, you know, £45 million signing, never really fulfilled the potential or became the player we wanted him to be. Had some outstanding games, some outstanding moments, and you can definitely make the argument either way, I feel, about keeping Wan Bissaka. You know, on one hand, you've got a player there pretty reliable in terms of his injuries and his fitness record, brings something very different to the table in terms of his ability to see out a tricky left winger, but Mazraoui has his traits as well. He has got his perks. I think for me, kind of similar, of course, to Diogo Dalot in a lot of ways. Now, Mazraoui's got his own skills. He's probably better on the overlap, maybe playing that kind of more traditional role as a fullback. But it is, it is definitely an interesting transfer. And it's one of these ones, I guess, that could improve our overall squad and our overall balance. So you got a player here who can play both right back and left back pretty comfortably. A guy who knows Eric Ten Hag's system, has some ability, does have some skill, decent in possession, and he could be a good option. And if you have he and Dalot, then you've got two players there at right back, both of whom who can cover at left back. I think that's a pretty smart deal, you know, all things considered. I don't think this is a bad deal. I would imagine the current plan is still to go with Luke Shaw as first choice left back going into this season. I don't think we signed two fullbacks in this window. And look, Mazraoui's got he's definitely got his perks and his bonuses. 6 foot tall, of course, so he will bring more of a physical quality to our back line, maybe winning more headers and stuff. I haven't really sat and watched a ton of Mazraoui over the last couple of years. Since his Bayern Munich move, he maybe has flattered to the save a little bit. Maybe he hasn't quite hit what they thought he would be. And look, there's been different mitigating factors. His injury record's one thing, of course. Kimmich making that move into that right back spot again, you know, moving out of midfield a little bit, I'm sure hasn't helped his overall game time at Bayern Munich. But it's an interesting signing. It's one, I guess, that makes sense. It's not a bad fee being talked about, and it does look like it's about to happen. You know, United have got a fee agreed with Bayern Munich. There's an agreement with the player. Pretty much everything's done in that regard. I think the only thing we're waiting on is Wan Bissaka going to West Ham, and it's kind of like a triangle, of course. It's an interesting one. We do also seem to be close to selling Victor Lindelof, so I would imagine that we have continued our conversations with Bayern Munich over Matthias de Ligt as well. In the meantime, got Nubis in the comments. I got Lucky Singh in the comments as well. Quick shout out to those guys. Lucky says Wan Bissaka has been to West Ham to get a deal done. Sancho wants PSG. Yeah, that could be something else to keep an eye out on as well. Lucky for sure is this potential move. Of course, for Sancho going to PSG. But West Ham, in the last half hour, in the last 35 minutes or so, according to Sky Sports, are in advanced talk with Wan Bissaka. One source says the deal is very close to happening. That's from Sky Sports in the last half hour. So that's pretty much getting to done deal territory. I think this will get done very soon. Fulham, of course, are also expected to make an improved offer for Scott McTominay. They are spending money. Today, they've agreed to buy Emile Smith-Rowe for £27 million. So Fulham's got the money. I think it has to be a good deal, though, because McTominay is an interesting player. He does bring a certain quality, does give you a gold thread as well. So I think you want to get a good fee for him if you are to move him on. And I get it, you know, as an academy product, he will go down as complete profit in FFP. We could spend every penny we receive in this summer on him at the minute. So these could be two important deals in terms of what we want to do in this summer, because clearly we need to move Wan Bissaka on to get a right back. Clearly we will need to move at least one midfielder on to get another midfielder in. So I think that's pretty much the priority at this point. I would imagine Lindelof is going to be a deal done within the next week or so as well. That's heavily talked about online and from various sources, so that could see us accelerate the move for Matthias de Ligt. And yeah, look, I'm not surprised. If we went into the season with Euro, de Ligt, Maguire, Martinez, Johnny Evans as cover, that's not a bad five. It's about keeping those guys fit. It's about keeping them ready to play, being available. I think that's going to be key for this here one. Now, Nuba saying, I don't understand the like of Mazraoui. I'm thinking Dallo is better than him. Just open FB ref and see the huge difference between the two. Look, it's all different. Like, obviously, Mazraoui playing in a Bayern Munich team who, although they had a poor season last year, are still a better team than United on paper, and in terms of the overall quality in their team, it's probably a lot better and maybe better suited to the minutes he had. I think Dallo played in a very poor team last year, but it's one of these ones, I'm never going to complain about having two players. And look, I've been saying this for a while, guys. I think I'm at the point now where sentimentality towards certain players is pretty much out of the question for me. And I want this club to be better. And if we have to make tough decisions on players who might have been improving and might be hard-working players and replace them with a higher quality player, then I'm all for it as well. I'm not overly attached to a lot of the players. Maybe 4 or 5 I'm like, yeah, look, I really want to see guys do well. But if you told me that Xerxes going to come in and completely revolutionize the centre forward spot and Højlund's going to find himself in the bench, then that is what it is. If we're a better team for it, we're a better team for it. And sometimes hard decisions have to be made. You look at some of the big players we let go under Fergie to bring better players in, or to let other people progress and develop and turn into the players that they always could have been. Van Nistelrooy was moved on for the betterment of Rooney and Ronaldo. A tough decision at the time, but one that probably paid off. So it's one of these that United are just gonna have to be hard on it. We clearly the group of players here are not good enough at the minute to go on and challenge for big titles. So the obvious thing to do is to replace them with better players, and if that also means that Mazraoui comes in and becomes the starting right back, then that's what that means. If it means that lights a fire under Diogo Dalot to rapidly improve and get much, much better and improve his overall game, and Mazraoui doesn't get to play, then that too has worked. You sign these players to improve the strength of your squad, to improve the quality of your team, not just the starting 11, but in terms of your bench as well. 5 substitutes now. Got to have a strong bench, got to have a strong squad, and we have been lacking. You guys know it, I know it. Last season, some of the backlines we were putting out were absolutely bizarre. We had Kambuala and Evans, we had Casemiro and Evans in a while, Wan Bissaka right back and Dalot left back. We had Johnny Evans playing left back for a couple of matches last season. That's not what we want, and we're only going to reach a certain level playing those kind of systems or putting those kind of teams out. So yeah, look, tough decisions have to be made, but I'm all for them, and I think Ineos need to show that in their leadership in terms of what they're going to do on the pitch and as well as off the pitch as well. I'm sure we can all agree on that one. Born's down there, hello. It's just a repeat comment. Nuba said Sancho to PSG is not close at all. He's not even top of the list. No, he's not. It's one to keep an eye out on. It's one to watch out for, because Sancho was a player we always felt we might sell. Sancho was a player we always thought we could sell in this window, or we might want to. But at the minute, it does look like maybe there's interest, but it kind of feels like Sancho's on a short list for PSG. Maybe he's like 3rd or 4th option for them. And, they've got different players. There's talk of them going after Osimhen. There's talk of them looking at Kvaratskhelia and a heap of other players. They'll spend big in this summer. So it's about what they want to do. It's one of these things, whenever you see players or whenever shortlists do get leaked out to the press, typically they'll have a field day with it, because that means they can run stories saying PSG wants Sancho, but they might also be looking at other players in the Premier League or around Europe. The PSG might want to get in Kvaratskhelia, to play in the wide areas, and then they say, right, if we don't get him, maybe we'll get Nico Williams, and if we don't get Nico Williams, maybe then we go for Chiesa or Leroy Sané, and then maybe if we can't get all them, we'll have a look at Sancho or whatever. It's one of these things. The press do have a field day with them, that always do. Shortlists will turn out 4 or 5 different stories for them to run with for a couple of weeks. We know this. Jeff's down there, bring back Dilly Blind to cover left back. I'm not too sure in his contract situation. I was always a fan of Blind, but I don't know if that's the move to make at this point. And Lewis said, unfortunately, many of the deadwood will still be at the club. They will be, but we got to get working on it. If PSG really want Sancho, they'll just swap him with Ugarte, but so far they're playing hardball. Yeah, they are. I'm sure they've got all the money in the world, but financial constrictions might be hitting them. They're basically looking United to do what we did with Casemiro and Tchouaméni for them, and Ugarte and Neves. Go out there, give them the money to go out and buy Yao Neves through the Garda sale. The same way that United spent £70 million and basically paid off most of the Tchouaméni deal to Real Madrid. And, that's kind of how these big clubs operate. I like to think that we're going to start operating in that way too. I'm sure you guys are sure of it as well. But look, some stuff to bring you guys from Fabrizio Romano on Nazir Mazraoui. On the agreement, it is a 5-year deal with the option of a 6-year. It will be the exact same contract as Joshua Zirkzee and Lenny Yoro. So yeah, that looks. If you're talking agreement with contracts and all that, there, it's gonna get done. He probably will be a United player next season, and I'm not surprised about it. I feel like this is a deal that has always made sense. He's a decent player with versatile positioning. If you can get one guy to cover left and right back, that helps you out a lot, because that means then all of a sudden you got Dallo who can play left and right back, and you got Mazraoui who can play left and right back. You can start with Luke Shaw as your starting left back. You can keep Tyrell Malacia on the books while he goes through this injury to see if he comes back and can maybe build upon what he showed before. And if all that fails, you have a pathway into the team for someone like Harry Hamas, who's definitely been impressing so far in pre-season. So it's maybe good squad management, it's maybe good squad building, and I totally get it. If you're banning these sort of players that you're going to be out here looking for, and you're going to be out here going, trying to fill out your squad, then get people who can do multiple jobs. Is why I think that Turkish defender Ferdi Kaligoglu could have been a really good option, because he can play right back, he can play left back, he can play midfield. He's even played striker before. You can kind of put him anywhere, and I totally get those types of signings. Budget constraints maybe mean we can't get everything done this summer that we want, but let's try to cover as much positions with our squad players as we can, bring in whatever starting players or project building players we have, that we can bring in, such as your Euros or your Xerxes, and I think that's going to stand us in much better stead. But look, guys, some other news to bring you guys. New Old Trafford, that does seem to be the way United are heading. 100,000 seater stadium, around about a £2 billion investment into the stadium to rebuild it and completely overhaul the surrounding area. I said a long time ago, guys, I always thought this was coming. I think that Old Trafford is the most iconic stadium in England. I've been many times. I absolutely love the stadium, but it has fallen into disrepair, and it's probably going to come down to a cost thing, where they'll look at it and say it'll cost almost as much perhaps to completely restore the current stadium as it would be to build a new stadium in its entirety. Maybe we'll go with a new stadium, a new dawn and a new era for the club, and that way maybe you can get funding from government or whatever to pump into the local area and do it as part of this leveling up the north scheme or whatever they're calling it. But yeah, that could be the way we look to go. But it does look like 100,000 stadium could be on the way. I don't want it to be a soulless bowl. I don't want it to be like the Emirates or like the Etihad, like a lot of the American stadiums. That's the last thing we want. We want to see character. We want to see some genuine spirit in the stadium, and I think that's one thing Old Trafford has always had. Very unique stadium in terms of its build, in terms of its age and its appearance. It's not one of these soulless bowls. It's 4 stands, and it brings back memories, I guess, from being young United supporters, from going the first time. All you feel is you go up the steps and then you look down and the pitch is right there in front of you, the size of the place, so if it is to be, it is to be, but we'll see how we go. Now look, we got an interesting interview here with Melissa Reddy of Sky Sports. I will bring you guys some of the more notable quotes and stuff that has come out of that. So firstly, players have been very impressed and very complimentary of Ruud van Nistelrooy. He conducts himself well, has an aura of responsibility and knowledge around him, and players do enjoy working with him. So that's good to see. I do think that coaching discontentment has been a problem at this club for a long time. Long may that continue. Long may this be a sign of progress, that we're not going to throw coaches under the buses and we're not going to go after individuals, rather instead the entire tactical makeup as a whole. That's a much better way. According to Melissa Reddy as well, all of the coaches coming in has been led by Erik ten Hag with the club's approval. Obviously, you see Van Nistelrooy coming in, you see Haka coming in. Yeah, that was always going to happen. 2 Dutchmen coming in. We have a long history of bringing people ten Hag has worked with before to his club. So yeah, I'm totally not surprised about that. But look, she said a lot of other stuff as well. United are doing due diligence with a number of players so that when they raise the funds, they make more signings. They've already got the deals in place to wrap up. I feel like the let's in that point. I feel like Mazraoui's at this point now, deal done on both players. where we just need the funding to actually put the deal in order. I guess we're probably still working on this midfielder. GK said defender signing is still top priority. It will be, yeah. Look, I've no doubt about it that we're going to bring another centre back in, and we're going to bring a right back in Mazraoui. That's going to be 2 more players, and that way you basically completely have overhauled your back line. And yeah, that's very positive. Now I think that midfield is going to need to be looked at. I'm not convinced Ugarte at that price is the right player for us. I think if we're going to spend that much money, it could be spent better elsewhere. But we'll see how we go. Look, there was talk of Fofana last week. The deal for him going to AC Milan seems to have gone cold. I would assume that's because he's maybe more interested in the United move. We will keep an eye out on that one, but there hasn't been too many updates in the last couple of days, not there one anyway. United are keen to not repeat the same mistakes of waiting for a player to be sold before waiting for potential incomings, as we've seen in the previous regime. There's a lot more ambition. United want to get deals done and in place agreements with players and wait for the funding to come in from sales to complete those. According to Melissa Reddy as well, Harry Maguire will not be leaving. If they get the outgoings in the way they want to, then there will be plenty more activity as well. You know, we've got 2 players through the door. We're working on deals. We just need some sales because it's frustrating, guys. You know, I talked about the ability of the club to spend a lot of money in this window. The one issue we have is we don't physically have the cash on hand. You know, we can spend 250 million, but we need to have that money in the first place to spend it. So the cap isn't an issue. It's just we're running on half a tank. You know, we're not without there. Bart's on there. Hi, Stefan. Mazraoui is far too injury prone for the Premier League. Look, that's a perfectly valid argument, and you know, I see it, I hear it, and I would be of the understanding. I would look into the situation and say that Dallow's probably still going to be first choice, and Mazraoui is coming in as a backup option who can come in if Dallow is injured, needs a rest, or is in bad form, and who can also cover left back. So I think that's the club's thinking with this one, trying to nail the two positions we need depth in with the one player. Bart said, should Euro be rested till the Community Shield? Depends on fitness, depends on how this injury is. Obviously, that's been an unfortunate this week. You know, we've had Euro get injured, and we've also had Hoyland go off. I got Daniel down below. Good to see you, buddy. How's it going? Oh, it's just a mod thing. I was wondering what that there, why your name was blue. I forgot. I'm edgy mod as well. But yeah, look, Ten Hag is in the strongest position as a manager he's ever been. Last time the board felt he was as concrete in his position was when United won the League Cup. Erik Ten Hag has stressed the importance of professional respect and a bond with the higher-ups. And yeah, look, I think Ten Hag has been given the faith. I think he is being told that his job now is to work and to focus on coaching our team and making us a better team on the pitch. And hopefully, with less distractions, he can come up with the solutions we need. Daniel says, up Armagh. Yeah, absolutely, man. Good day yesterday. I got lowered asking as well, what's the update on Euro? I will quickly look up that because I think there was something on that as well earlier. That's obviously the big problem. That's obviously the big concern we've had. You know, Lenny Yoro and Rasmus Højlund in one match going down, getting injured. Yeah, that's not what we want to see. People blaming the pitch. I don't know. I'm really not sure about it, but we'll see. Daniel, man, you can't really not know who Kenny Dalglish is. To be honest, man. But yeah, look, I can't really say too much on Lenny Yoro. At the minute, Bart said maybe Yoro's injured. He can work on his Dutch, perhaps. Who knows? Who knows? I'll quickly have a look for injury updates. I imagine Højlund is a legitimate injury, and Yoro hopefully is a precautionary player to take off. But I'll quickly verify that there. Let me see. Yeah, both have suffered injuries. United and Focus looked to have an article in the last couple of hours, so I'll quickly see what this looks to be the most up to date. Anyway, yeah, Lenny Yoro and Rasmus Højlund went off in the first half with different issues. Erik Ten Hag was not confident about either. United posted footage of their last session, latest session in Los Angeles today. And observers, one Eagle Eye fans only had one observation after watching the whole video when asking where the duo was. Both Hoyland and Euro missing from the training pictures, as well as that video footage shows they were missing training. Further diagnosis can be expected by Ten Hag when he does a press conference ahead of the Real Betis game, but right now, early signs of either of them playing in that game does not look too promising. So, look, if he misses a couple of matches in pre-season, it's maybe not the end of the world. I would rather give him rest if he actually is hurt than risking the guy again. Robert's down there. Tired of hearing the deal closer. Agreed. I mean, deal is done, buddy. Like, if United have both agreed a fee with Bayern Munich, agreed a contract with Mazraoui himself, then that's deal done. Like that's as done as it gets. United's just waiting on the Wan Bissaka deal to go through. They get the cash to physically go and sign off on this Mazraoui deal. It's done. Liman's done there. Good to see you, buddy. And Bart said, "How do you find pre-season? Better planned." Last season was a disaster, man. Like I can't lie. Like United played in Scotland, in Norway, in Dublin, in Manchester, and they played several matches in the US. They played matches in consecutive days, at least twice, filled in half strength teams, which just isn't what we want either. Like. And Nibis is down there. Don't understand why we keep doing the US tour. We lost Man Utd last season and Euro, now possibly Hoyland. I remember when United did the Asia tour, no players were injured. Yeah, like I would absolutely be game for that. It's just money. Like it is just money. That's the only reason that we're out there, because you could easily just do a pre-season based in England. You could easily just do a pre-season maybe playing over in Spain or whatever, somewhere nice and warm where they like to go for warm weather training. They could easily do that, but it's a money thing, guys. We know it's a money thing. Anyway, I've got a couple more updates I want to bring you guys. I think you guys will probably like some of these ones as well. Obviously, look, we got some quotes from Kobbie Mainoo. We'll maybe go through those later on in the stream, perhaps. But, Mainoo gave a good interview today. I'm pretty happy with some of his quotes. Good head and shoulders, as we know, but it's set to be an interesting week. Romano said this is going to be a very, very busy week as well. I guess I'll move on to the stadium real quick, because we do have lots of updates on that from earlier this morning. I'll cover them in some detail. The cost of the new stadium is met with a mix of private and public investment. The government would provide funding for the necessary improved transport links required. United see LA's SoFi Stadium as the blueprint for their own version of Old Trafford, including the regeneration of the surrounding area. Hopefully it's not going to be a big Solus Bowl. I would hate if that was the case, but we'll see how we go. Laurie Whitwell says building a new stadium altogether will cost around $2 billion. It'll take about 6 years to complete. Renovation will cost half of that and take a similar amount of time. So it's one of these. I think United's just going to go with this new stadium. I really do. It looks like we're moving ahead for that. Ratcliffe's preference is for stadium to be built from scratch on the existing site. United also, I believe, on doing it on their own land would be feasible, meaning the team could continue to play at Old Trafford throughout construction, so that wouldn't be an issue as well. So no disruption. United still playing in Manchester at Old Trafford, where we should be, and I think that's good. We got Pletigal, who has quickly come out and rubbish a transfer story. United have no plans to sign Ivan Toney. There's no concrete talks or negotiations. They're focused on other targets. They've already got their striker. We know this already. But I think it's good to dismiss things when we can. Bart said Ericsson wants to play for 3 more years. Do you see him in England? I wouldn't mind moving Ericsson on if there's a buyer. It's just one of these. It's like, I think towards the end of last season, we seen a player who, yes, very technically good, but couldn't play full 90 minutes. He was looking tired every time, we got to 60, 70 minutes. So, look, I don't know if the option is there, or someone comes in with a bid, I would get it. I would understand it, but we'll see how we go. We will see how we go. Man Utd talking about Klopp. It's not really for me, maybe. Lucky says Victor Lindelof is open to a move to France. Yeah, well, it depends on who's looking to buy him. I haven't seen specific buyers other than Turkish clubs potentially being interested in him. But we'll see. We'll see. And Lucky says new training ground. Yeah, I would imagine new training ground's probably going to be a top priority as well. I think United's really going to try overhaul everything. Nubis, Asia Tour generates huge profit too. Yeah, exactly. Like it isn't that they'd be going out there at any cost. They'd probably make a lot of money going out there if that's the goal. But I don't know. I don't know. Like it's frustrating for me, guys. Because this happened last year. Last year was Ahmad in the Arsenal match, and then the match after was Kobe Manu. This year it's been Euro and Hoyland already. That's not great. Like, some other updates from Romano in the last few minutes. I feel like these are just repackaged stuff, but we can talk about the Sancho situation. So United have to decide soon what will happen with Sancho. They're keeping the situation open. PSG do have him on a short list, but he's far from priority. I think that was obvious. Should we prioritise Europa League part? There's a real argument for that, and I'll give you guys the argument I think we got for prioritising and really taking it seriously is the fact that it is a different competition this year. You still get your Champions League spot, you still get your Champions League qualification by winning it. It would be a good trophy to win, and we've won a trophy in our last 2 seasons. It would be good to carry that on with some more, but the key thing this year, guys, is that teams don't drop out of the Champions League. So if Bayern Munich or Barcelona or Atletico Madrid and Inter Milan, whatever, if they've got a bad group and if they don't get out of their group, they don't drop into Europa League anymore. So it's just the teams who are in Europa League from the start will be in it from the end. And I think that's a good way to work it. It'll be a different way they're working it, of course. It will be an actual league this time. We'll play something like 8 matches before. And if we finish in like the top, I think it might be like the top 8 teams out of those 8 matches, then we managed to go right into the round of 16, which I think you'll want to avoid the extra matches. I think that's all positive. Artie's down there. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you very much for hopping on in. And Nibba said, bet Brentford are sweating right now. No bar for Tony. They played hardball. It's one of those, if you're going to play the game, sometimes you're going to get stung, and maybe they will get stung and it'll go for free. Who knows? That could be the case. But I do think you guys are bringing up some really interesting questions, and I think one of those definitely is the tour itself and the preseason. There's definitely big markets in Asia for the club to explore. They obviously think it's more feasible and better to do it in America. I think it's probably because of the preseason tournament with their prize money and all that. There's maybe more, but I don't know. Ronnie said, do you think they'll be out for long? Personally, I don't know, man. We haven't got Erik ten Hag's latest update. United are playing again. Let me quickly double check here on my phone, but we are playing very soon against Real Betis. I think that match possibly might be on Wednesday night. I'm not 100% sure. So it's 3 o'clock in the morning on Thursday morning. So I would imagine that Erik ten Hag will do some kind of press conference either tomorrow or Wednesday for us. So I think that's going to be your indication on injury updates. It's kind of hard to see. It's kind of hard to look at it. It's kind of hard to look at it and say one way or another. Erik ten Hag has always kind of stressed the importance of letting the injury settle down, let it be scanned and evaluated and assessed by the medical staff before letting us know what exactly the problem is. But I'm sure the details will come out. They'll come out as well. Bart said on Wednesday night, Betis then versus US. Artie says as well, us Wednesday, UK Thursday. Yeah. So it's one of those, like, I'll not be doing a watch along at 3 in the morning on a work night. Like, I'll put it that way. But it is what it is. Guys, if you could drop a like on the video, it would be amazing as well. There's 24 people in the chat, and we got 15 likes. Let's see if we can get up to 20. Just takes a second, and it helps out as well. But yeah, look, Mazraoui, personal terms agreed. Look, this is a deal that's going to get done, guys. This just feels like a waiting time. It looks to be a matter of moments. Well, a matter of days, but it's just about getting these deals done. I think at the minute we can bypass Sancho. I don't think that deal's going to get done because I think on his wages, what United will want, PSG might go elsewhere. I feel like they will go elsewhere. But we do have an interesting article coming out from Call Offside, of course, written by Fabrizio Romano. So United are ready to sell Christian Eriksen this summer. They would take 5 million as he does have large wages. Anderlecht and Ajax are also interested in the player. So we'll watch and see how that one goes and develops. But it's an interesting story to keep out for. Already, so we'll probably draw. It's only pre-season. Yeah, it's one of those. It's like United got beat 2-1 by Arsenal the other night, but somehow we also won the match at the same time because I think we won the penalty shootout. Like, it is a nonsense. It's an absolute nonsense. But it's pre-season. It doesn't really matter. The big drawbacks are getting to injuries. It's not not getting beaten 90 minutes by Arsenal. That's the big issue we have with it here. Joshua Zirkzee has arrived at Carrington, has begun pre-season training today, so that's good to see as well. Obviously, he had a pretty late tournament involvement with the Netherlands team at Euro 2024, so he'll have had an extended rest, an extended piece of holiday and resting, and probably relaxing as well with his girlfriend or wife, whatever. Anyway, Dark Row, seems Arsenal are overtaking everyone in the transfer market with their choice of players. I mean, Arsenal is just does go to show that good planning, good organisation, good people knowing what they're doing. You can build a team that'll improve year on year, and I'm sure they're going to improve again this year. So hopefully we can catch them up. Should we hire Ineos? Sorry, should Ineos hire Southgate for coaching penalties? All right, Bart. All right, maybe we'll bring in. I don't even know. Maybe we'll get Arteta in to teach coaching for set pieces. But I think we actually maybe got a set piece coach. I'm not too sure. Lucky says De Ligt will be read after. Yeah. I felt like that deal was going to get close to done. Obviously, we swept and took Euro. He was first choice. But if Lindelof goes, I would expect us to get Matthias De Ligt, because I think Lindelof will go for about 8 million. I imagine most of that's going to be up front. So that should get done pretty soon as well. And then, look, if our summer transfer is bringing in Euro and De Ligt, Mazraoui, Joshua Zirkzee, ideally a midfielder, then that's a pretty decent window. And anything after that, you'll probably say is a bonus, I guess. But it's not bad. And you're attacking some of the main issues in our squad. You know, the centre backs, the full back areas, your midfield areas, and bringing in an additional goal threat and someone who can help us up front. So, yeah, look, pretty decent window so far. Not perfect by any means. The cash flow issues are more of a problem, I guess. I would have a lot more confidence if we had money in the bank, which we should do, but our finances have been so bad in the last couple of years that if we had that money, I feel like we would have a lot more deals done by this point as well. Bart said we conceded 15th most goals via set pieces and scored the 14th most. Yeah, you know, it's no surprise. We got to work on them in terms of scoring and defending. And you know, that could win you games, that could win you a competition. Not that United's going to win a league or anything like that, but that might be the difference in going into the Europa League final or winning the Europa League or going after maybe an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup or something next season as well, is your ability to score goals from set pieces, to not concede goals from set pieces. And, you know, it's all important. Ronnie said, was over in Mallorca on Tuesday watching the Prince William bar. They were playing Rangers. The centre half looks good. 38 degrees when watching it. I mean, that's a dream. Like, I'm sure when we're watching the league season, it won't be 38 degrees either. It'll be cold, wet, rainy, as always, but we'll enjoy it while we can. We will enjoy it while we can. Look, guys, that's pretty much us wrapped up for tonight's show. I am going to head on here, but I'll be back on tomorrow around about the same time. So, guys, make sure to tune in for that if you can. Would really appreciate it. And, of course, go check out RD and his channel as well. I think he's going to be live later on tonight, so give him a watch as well. And big ups, guys. Thanks so much for joining in. And, yeah, look, I guess we'll catch everyone in the next one.